Welcome to the She's So Bossy podcast with Jackie Russo and Melissa both, where the 1.9% of women who built million-dollar businesses come to share their story.
Welcome to She's So Bossy podcast. Melissa, our guests today, Lauren and Laken, who are cousins who run Something Borrowed Blooms. I have followed their story for a while. 10 years in, they have continued to impress, to automate, to scale, to grow. They just did their 50,000th wedding. I mean, that's enough to fill an NFL stadium. They are awesome.
And to know that they literally transformed and created something that did not exist before in the traditional wedding industry. I love that they're from Louisiana and that their family doing it together. And it's super impressive what they've created.
Yeah. And they're serving brides and grooms across the continental United States and into Canada. So they are not bound by logistical challenges of where they're located. They have literally bloomed where they are planted.
Nice. And beautiful products too. So if anybody's listening, go to the YouTube to see the visual and check out their website, Something Borrowed Blooms.
And they smell like real flowers because my daughter used them last year. And
that makes me want to order it just to get the package and the whole experience. They create an experience.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Yeah. So y'all stick around and listen to Lauren and Laken talk about growing their business. Welcome to the podcast, Lauren and Laken. We are so excited to have y'all here. I thought maybe we would just start with kind of the beginning. How did Something Borrowed Blooms come to be?
Okay, so way back when, in fact, it's been almost 10 years at this point, Laken and I really started our business with a desire to start a company that would change an industry that was pretty stagnant. So we weren't set on florals, we weren't set on weddings, we really don't have any prior experience in either of those fields, but we were looking for a way to start a company together. We're first cousins, and I think we've had this entrepreneurial spirit. My husband's an entrepreneur, and that always kind of piqued our interest. Laken's background's in marketing, mine is in PR. And I think together we just knew that we'd make a really great team, and we wanted to do something for ourselves. And it was when we were in that phase of life where we were going to weddings every other weekend, and we saw our friends and family really like trying to make the wedding budget work. And a lot of times, florals were kind of the sticking point that was kind of hard to solve for. And it was also when Rent the Runway was gaining a lot of popularity amongst young modern women, that you could rent really high price, beautiful clothing, wear it for a weekend or an event and send it back and only have to pay a fraction of the cost. And so those kind of ideas were floating around in our heads. I was also reflecting on my own wedding experience, which was not great. My wedding flower experience was not what I had hoped for. I met with multiple florists, took off of work, did all the work, kind of got the quotes, showed her pictures of what I wanted. And the day of the wedding, she showed up with a box of flowers that was just like not what I had in mind. But at that point, you spend these thousands of dollars on these flowers that you hold in your hands for like a few minutes, and then they literally end up in the trash at the end of the night. So once those kind of ideas started like really swirling in our heads, we're doing a lot of brainstorming, and these ideas just kind of kept coming up. And, one day Laken was like, what if we rent wedding flowers? And I have to tell you, my initial reaction was a little unsure, because I think my mind just went straight to like Hobby Lobby, kind of like craft store flowers. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, it's your wedding day, it has to be like really awesome. And then we did some initial research and realized that there's like such beautiful high-end, realistic, like premium silk florals that we could use to create collections so that customers could rent their flowers and not have to sacrifice anything in exchange. And so that was the initial kind of thought. Those ideas collided, and we're like, okay, this is it. This is what we're going to try. And we've never looked back.
Yeah. And look, our goal was, like Lauren said, to revolutionize in the industry. We really wanted to like shake things up. So I think Lauren's initial reaction to the idea, like an extreme, we cannot do that, right? Like, that's terrible. We talk about the reactions that we got from people. They were like polar opposite. And at that point, that's when we knew we were doing something that could be, again, like really transform an industry. polar opposite kind of feedbacks. People loved it, people hated it. It was different. It was brand new. We had to define like what it actually meant.
Was there another company out there doing rented flowers that y'all
No,
could find? Okay.
no, not at this scale. I mean, we would find something similar, but it was like super, super small, very regional, it might be somebody like who has like mom and pop kind of business that was doing something locally, but nothing national at
Yeah,
that.
and the silk flowers out there were mostly like for purchase, maybe on
Yeah.
Etsy. There was a little bit of that at that
Right.
time, but the rent and return model was something that was not being done at all
Right.
in the industry.
And I will say for anybody who's listening or watching this and responds to Lauren's thoughts on it's going to look like Hobby Lobby, my daughter, my first born daughter, got married a year ago. And although I know your story, I've interviewed you before, obviously we have a lot of common bonds. I went through the process though, because she wanted it. I was like, whatever my baby wants, my baby gets. And
Yeah.
so when, I think we actually picked up, if I recall, just because locally that was an easy thing, right? And so I remember distinctly opening the box and starting to pull out the flowers, and I made everybody come and smell them. I kept saying, they smell like real flowers. Look at this. They smell like real flowers. People were finally like, please stop making me smell the flowers. I get it. They smell like real flowers. Yeah. Because it was so funny because it's like, well, they look like real flowers and they smell like real flowers. Why are you talking about it? Of course they're real flowers. I'm like, they're not, they're silk.
And they're stunning. Again, anybody listening, come to the YouTube version of this podcast and just look at the beautiful arrangement that is sitting behind Lauren.
Yeah, I know. That whole sensory, the smell sense, we really, I'd say like it was one of those like luck, like kismet moments, like meant to be moment. The first market we ever went to when we first started the company, this was probably like 2018, 2019. Like 15, 16 probably.
Yeah,
And
you're almost 10.
yeah. And we were going just like in this other part of market that we normally don't even shop. And we found this vendor that was selling drawer liners for like gift shops. And it was like these beautifully packaged like drawer liners, and it smelled like florals. And we're like, oh wait, this could work to like, use for our packaging. We're like, we don't need the pretty boxes. We just need like sheets of these scented drawer liners. And we started working with that vendor, and we worked with them for years and years and years. But the smell sense is like such a strong part of that whole experience. And we hear that from customers over and over again. Like the smell just like really seals the deal. And it like your sights, all the senses are really coming into play. And it just makes that experience even more special. So it's one of those things that we've done since day one, and like it will always be there.
Yeah. How long from I have this really great idea to I've made my first sale? What was that timeline like?
Okay, so I feel like it's a little hazy, but I feel like I think we had the idea probably was like in the summer of 2015. And we both, by the way, had our babies at the time were babies. They turned 1 year old that fall. So like September and October is when they both turned 1.
Oh my goodness.
And we had we both had toddlers and 1-year-olds. And then, so that fall we decided to go to New York because we thought that's where you had to go get your silk flowers. So as any smart person does, they book flights to New York and go to the floral district, which secret, it's like not where you get your flowers from. But anyway, we did that, and we made enough of like prototypes, like initial kind of like floral arrangements to make the website. And so we probably had the website up that October, November, I would say. And I remember I know we did a wedding that December. Wow. So it was pretty quick. Now, I remember maybe our first one was somebody I kind of knew. And then I remember our first one that we didn't know was so exciting because it was somebody we had never met before, and she just found the concept. And I was like, oh my God, this girl, I remember her name, Amanda Yates, is using our flowers. And I was like,
you knew you earned it. You knew you eurned that one.
Yes. So it was pretty quick, but we were really slow to grow. Like it was very okay, let's make sure make sure this is actually something people want. We didn't go buy a ton of inventory or spend a ton of money on a website. It was very much try it out, make sure we have product market fit before we really went all in.
Right.
Yeah, it was probably a year or two really of slow growth product market fit. Like we were really learning about the customer and the process as we were kind of doing it. So it was a great process because we were able to get feedback real time. We didn't have like a heavy investment in the business, so we were like nimble. We were able to make those changes on the fly. And I would say probably like year three, 2018 was when we had traction. We really had that solid business model in place, and we were ready to start scaling at that point.
Did you have the big dream like right away going into it that you wanted to make it a big thing that the way that it is now? You did?
Yeah, we did. Now I would say like our like benchmarks for that dream has changed. Like we always knew we wanted it to be big. Like we're not doing this just as a hobby to have fun. Like we're going to do it. We're going to scale it. We want to make something out of this. But like, even when we first started, I remember like having conversations and saying like, okay, if we could serve like 12 weddings a month, like that would be success. Like we would be making money and like, that would be good. And like, that would be a good, like kind of level kind of, phase of the business. And, and then I remember fast forward a few years and like, we thought like 60 weddings a month seemed like, okay, this is really something, And so I think we always knew we wanted it to be big, but then every time we kind of reached a new milestone, we realized like, okay, wait, there's more, right? And there's more to grow. There's more to do. There's more to provide, but yeah, it's always been together. Laken and I have always wanted to do this as something that like, it would, provide for our families while we were doing this, provide a life for us where we would be able to like run this business to a point where this would give us like optionality for the rest of our lives, and kind of like set us up to be in a place where we would have like, we'd be in a position to decide, what we want to do after this. And so that's kind of how we've always run the business, is to scale it and to grow it. And really our ultimate goal is to grow it to a point that we would become acquired. And then the next company would be able to take it and 10x it from here.
Yeah. On your way.
From day one, like this business has been like a challenge for Lauren and I. Like we have this like big goal in mind, and every day we're like continuing to take step forwards to meet that goal. And it's scary along the way. There's some days where we're like, we don't know if we can grow anymore or take this any further. But that's like part of the fun. It's like just continuing to really press the boundaries, right? And again, just kind of learning as you grow.
How do you get through those points of the scary, the risky, the fear, where it feels like, am I really going to be able to do this, or what happens next? How do you work through that?
I would say our secret is probably different from a lot of people, but because we are a team, and her and I are doing this together, I think our greatest strength is like just the balance between one another. But there's certainly days where like, we're feeling that burnout and that like we've hit a wall, we can't do this anymore. But then we have the other that's like on a high and like has this new idea and can see things clearly. And really that balance, I would say like that is our secret recipe.
I was going to say the same thing. Like, I think this would be even way more challenging if you were doing this independently. I'm sure like she's saying if I was doing this by myself, because we have a team, right? We have an amazing team. We have 40 plus women on this team and man, that are great. Right. And so lucky to have those people to support us. But there's moments where like no one else in this building understands like the fear and the, decisions you have to make, and like the burnout and like the really like those moments where you're like, I don't know what's going to happen.
The responsibility of it all.
Yes. And so being able to have Laken and I to be able to share that responsibility together and know that like, we can lean on one another, it's critical to like how we've been able to run the business. And I think being family and just having like this such like deep down, like just innate like love and respect and trust in one another is like hugely important and a huge like benefit to us. I think that that really just always like you just know no matter what, like I know she has my best interests at heart and she knows I have hers at heart. And so, it kind of takes any kind of friction away. And at the end of the day, we just know we were trying to do what's best for us and our families and the business, and that's it. And so, like Laken said, in those moments, like when she's down, I can tell. So I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna like buckle down and like work extra harder. And same when I'm down, she's like, okay, Lauren, come on, get back in. Like this is what we're gonna do, you know. And so it's nice to have somebody who just know so much about each other that you can just kind of pick each other up and encourage each other when you need it.
Yeah,
For sure.
nice.
How many years in before you crossed the $1 million mark in revenue?
So we were just looking at that. We're like, what was that? And it was 2020. So technically 5 years, but I mean, we really didn't start generating anything until like 16. So I guess, about 4 years. It took us almost 4 years to cross $1 million. So like we said, it took us a while. Like we were really like chugging along for a good stretch to even hit the $1 million mark. So yeah.
Okay, say that again. You said we really didn't even start generating anything until the second year?
Or I mean, the first year, it was so late in the year. We started like October, November. We had a couple sales, but like the weddings didn't really come into play until 16, So it was just, the first year was really, it was 2015, but it was really small.
Yeah.
So 2016 was our first full 12 months, like year of doing business. And then 18 is when we crossed $1 million.
I just think a lot of our listeners, are going to learn so much from like the struggles too, like, because once you're where you are, you make it look easy. Jaci makes it look easy. And the women or people who are listening, it helps to learn of the struggles that are natural, inherent to the entrepreneurship too. Sorry, Jaci, you were going to say something?
No, I was just going to say, you had this dream of getting 12 or 15 weddings a month. What's your biggest month? How many weddings did y'all do in 1 month at this point?
We've had months where we've done over 2,000 weddings.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's pretty crazy. In fact, this year we crossed a big milestone. So over our entire lifespan of the business, we've served over 50,000 weddings at this point. And
50,000, 50,000.00.
Like I literally Google, like, what does 50,000 people look like, just to get a visual of it? It's like a stadium full of people. And I'm like, holy.
And what's the farthest away that you've shipped or served?
We shipped all over the US and Canada. So, I mean, end to end, coast to coast.
Every state.
Yeah, every state. Yeah.
So for a little bit of a reference, the Superdome seats 62,000.
Okay. There you go.
So you've got 12,001 people to go to fill the Superdome plus one person.
Isn't that really, really wild when you think about it? Like when you sit here and talk about how we sitting on the back porch, I remember having the conversation about this idea. And then now knowing that like 50,000 people have chosen to like use our brand, our idea, our products for their wedding day. Like that, when I get down about stuff, I remind myself of that. I'm like, okay, we're doing something right.
No. When you get down about something, you have to think, I've been on the Today Show. How is that not the thing that keeps you going?
What? Yeah, I know. CBS Morning News, but yeah, I know.
Okay.
And Good Morning America.
Okay.
But yeah, I know. That was, I don't know. And then, like, you always have those imposter syndrome kind of feelings where you're like, well, maybe it was just a fluke and maybe I just got lucky because somebody, whatever. And so that always creeps in, but you can't say 50,000 people choosing to use our company is a fluke, right? So I think that's why that's probably the one I go to more than those other really amazing moments. But
was Gail King on the CBS show when you were there? So you were basically Oprah's best friend now.
And honestly, she was so nice. She was, she came to the green room before we got started. Like I had my husband and my kids, my mom there with me because it was just such a big moment. I wanted them to be there to experience it. And she met all of them, talked to them, even called out my kids by name on air saying and Cohen and Moss are in the studio with us today. And it was this whole amazing moment. But yeah, and then just to really feel her genuine excitement about what we're doing. And she was so impressed by the business and the concept and us. And
it's impressive.
Yeah, it was an awesome moment.
Yeah, no, it's cool. So now you just have to go to Hawaii and hang out with Oprah and pick some Hawaiian flowers to add to the collection.
And it could be the Oprah collection.
Yes. Yeah, we would just have to change our ops because right now we don't ship to Hawaii. But maybe we can make an exception though.
So as y'all have gone along in almost 10 years of being in business, what almost broke you? What's the thing where you look back and think, I cannot believe we survived that?
Oh,
I would say automating the process to operate the business at scale. There was a point in time where we were still kind of like in scrappy startup mode. But the volume of our business was literally suffocating us. Like we
Mhm.
didn't have the processes in place. We didn't have the inventory management system to execute it well. And it literally almost broke us. Thankfully, we had a team that was like willing to, go all in, and whatever it took, like we just worked together to kind of get through that. But it was like getting us to the point of like investing to build out the infrastructure and the technology in order to get it to that next level. That I think was one of the most challenging times. I mean, like this looked Lauren was literally like driving a FedEx truck or a U-Haul truck to FedEx like late at night because we couldn't handle the volume, and like we weren't turning things fast enough. And
And this is
it
after
was
FedEx would come and pick up multiple times throughout the day, but we would still be shipping. And so then I'd have to go to FedEx every day and drop off. And they knew me by name. Like they would just buzz me into the back and I would just back my U-Haul truck up and unload. And it was wild times. Yeah.
um
And
yeah,
it took us like weeks to get out of that, like that, that transition phase, because what happened is we went from the manual operations to a more automated system, but the transition part of it was a beast because it stops your normal flow. Everybody kind of has to learn. Everything gets like stopped, and so then you have some bottleneck, and then just to catch up and to get back on your normal rotation, it was a big
yeah.
undertaking.
And I think that's the scary part too. Like as you're growing, there are times where you have to like give yourself permission to like slow down or take a step back in order to get to the next level. And that's like a scary decision, right? But sometimes that's what's needed in order to kind of, expand the ceiling and just continue to move forward.
And how did y'all make that transition from like being the hands-on, boots on the ground, frontline, driving the truck to the founders and the directors that y'all are now?
Well, I think that's part of being the founder is in those moments of things being tough and difficult, like knowing that like ultimately it falls on us. And so like we're the ones like rolling up our sleeves and getting it done. And I think even just doing that and the team kind of seeing you being willing to put in the extra work and how much you care about it, it just automatically like inspires them to like step in more and do more. And I think luckily that just kind of comes naturally from us. And so the team, I think, just really sees that. And so, you kind of go through those hard moments, you roll up your sleeves, you do what you need to do, and know that like you'll get through it, you'll get to the other side of that. And when you do, like Laken said, then you can kind of like take a breath, okay, realize like, okay, we got through this, and now this actually opens up our capacity to do even more. So like what's next? And so yeah, I think going like from really that like more manual to like really deciding to invest and make things more automated, it was absolutely critical. But it was like everybody's like, oh, you have growing pains. I'm like, yeah, we have growing pains, but like growing pains freaking hurt. Like it was painful. So that was a big one for sure.
Yeah, I can see that. So you've talked about the goal being to build it up to a certain point and sell it. Have you put some metrics in place so you know when you get to that point that you're ready to do that?
Loosely,
Okay.
I think that's probably like our next big project for Laken and I to start focusing on more seriously, is to kind of start planning for that exit. We're getting to a point where we can start mapping that out and forecasting that and saying like, okay, this would be a good spot for us. So yeah, but I think it's always just I think it's also just like running the business and making decisions for the business now, knowing what we want the outcome to be is what kind of is always kind of helps make those decisions, like um not being too short-sighted or not doing something that might be easy for us today, but know that it might not be the most lucrative down the line. So we always try to keep that in mind.
Right.
Our ultimate goal, though, and where we see the company, at maturity, is we really believe that we can capture 10% of the US wedding flower market. So we simplify that. Lauren loves to say, if you lined up 10 brides and gave them all the choice of renting their wedding flowers from Something Borrowed Blooms, we're confident that 1 in 10 would say yes. So that is like the ultimate goal. Right now, we're around about 1% of the US wedding flower market. And kind of what acquisition looks like and the timeline there is kind of unknown, but it's certainly between 1 and 10%.
Do y'all have competitors now that are on the market with you?
Yeah, we have some. There are some that are doing like, kind of the same concept that we're offering now. Most of those though are just smaller scale, probably don't have the infrastructure and like we just talked about, like that automation part of it, like that's a big piece. From what we can tell, anyone that's doing exactly what we're doing isn't at that level yet. But I would say like our real competitors are other like national floral providers. So there's different companies that, will ship like fresh flowers to your door with like a DIY kind of component that gives you some savings off of like a traditional florist. And those, we're always kind of like, just watching, kind of comparing like how we're both serving the market in different ways. But really when we poll our customers, most of our customers are saying their deciding kind of factors or with who they're deciding between is like their local florist or Something Borrowed Blooms. And so knowing that, we've actually decided to recently, we kicked off this new initiative to partner with more local fresh florists to kind of have different channel acquisition and to be able to support those florists who are having trouble converting customers who come in who maybe don't have the budget that meets their minimums. Rather than just losing that customer altogether, they can say, hey, look, if you're open to a mix of some fresh and some faux, they can actually utilize our products, leverage our products, and serve that customer better. So the customer gets the full floral vision she was hoping for and still being able to stay in her budget. So the florist gets, the benefit of maintaining the customer, serving the customer, gets to provide that service for them. So this is a new kind of concept we just launched a few months ago. We've got about 50 florists across the US signed up for this program, and it's going really well. So just kind of taking like who's the competitor and seeing like, okay, but how can we work with them? Like, how can we make this better for everybody? And I think that's really been our approach with this Pro Florist program.
Not to jump into some gender profiling, but that's a very girl way to approach it. Let's collaborate. Let's all work together. Let's find a way where we don't have to be enemies and fight to the death. We can work together.
There's space for everyone here.
Yes.
I love that mentality. But yeah, like just thinking of the competitive landscape and like what things look like today versus like when we started.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, like there's like no doubt that the landscape has changed. More people are using silk flowers than they ever had before. Like 10 years ago, this was like, you said you were using silk flowers and some like people's eyes would roll back. Right now it's, there are other options out there and people are looking at alternatives. And to me, it's like, I don't view that competition as a negative. To me, that's like, wow, like we're part of that change. Right. And the entire industry is really adapting and moving in that direction. And that's exciting.
Yeah, you're pioneers, ladies.
Yeah. It's like, we see that and like, wait, we did that. Like, this would not be a thing if we did not exist,
No. And y'all basically created an entirely new category.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I know we were on the phone earlier this year with the Knot, and they were sharing their industry trends and, talking about, floral trends, et cetera. And we kind of asked the question about like, well, what is the split between silk and fresh? And they certainly acknowledge, that's something that is happening in the market. We need to add that to our data set to start collecting the data on that. So for someone like the Knot to recognize that shift and that change and help us to understand what that looks like on a numbers basis, again, like that's exciting.
Yeah. Do you have another milestone or like it would be great if we could be acknowledged by this or another number milestone? What's your next goal, I guess?
I think right now, like I said earlier, we're always kind of like talking about like the path to 10%, the path to 10%. That's what we're always kind of looking at. But I mean,
that is the goal. Our whole team talks about the path to 10%.
Yeah.
How are we going to get there? We all know what that means.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's huge. The fact that you've even gotten to 1% of such
Mhm.
a massive industry
Mhm.
that's so
Mhm.
stuck in its ways. I mean, the entire bridal
Exactly.
industry is based on tradition and doing the things the same way since women were cattle, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I know. We talk about that a lot. Like just
Yeah.
really the initial like challenge of just like changing the consumer's mindset in such a traditional space where everything is built on, oh, this is how it's done. This is how you should do it, you know? And just knowing that if we were able to successfully change people's mindset, we could be really successful. But it was like really crossing that barrier at first was the biggest hurdle we had to prove that we could do it. And I think we, you know, finally 10 years in, we're like, yeah, things we've done, that.
We're doing
And you
it.
and you did
Yeah.
it with baby kids.
Yeah. With baby kids. Yep.
So, and when you look back over the past, almost 10 years, what would you have done differently?
That's a hard question.
I know. I
um,
think about that a lot. I really don't. I mean, like, and you might be able to answer differently, but like, I feel like every day it's like, make the next right choice. And like the information I have today is what's influencing that decision. And yeah, can I look back a few years from now and say, oh, well, you should have gone this route? Like, yeah, I probably could. But like, I don't ever think about, oh, we should have done that differently. Or, oh, I wish we wouldn't have done that. Because I feel like every decision we make or conclusion we come to we're confident in it with the information that we have at that time. And yeah, there might be moments where we're like, oh dang, that was not good. But there's no crystal ball that's telling you like which way to go. So I don't like to spend a lot of time thinking of that because then I get hard on myself and then I get analysis paralysis and I don't want to make any decision because I'm scared I'm gonna get it wrong again. So I don't know. That's
Great
my
mindset. That's a
long
great mindset.
answer.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great answer. Laken, anything different?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that I, I think that again, just giving giving yourself kind of that like permission to like let go and kind of like maybe step out of the everyday, like and empowering the team to really take more charge and be at the table has really helped us in the last few years, right? There's only so many hours in the day and Lauren and I can't do everything, so continuing to grow the team and allow them to be part of those decisions is something that we certainly could have done earlier on, and maybe we'd be past where we are today from a growth perspective. But not necessarily saying we should have done it differently, but again, we learned that along the way, and that's been a key to success. So continuing to like invest in the team and really grow our team and have them understand kind of the where we're going, where we're headed, and have them play a role in making some of those big decisions.
50,000 weddings. That's huge. That's just huge.
I
That's all I
know.
keep thinking about. That's just so amazing.
I know.
With the two of you, we talk to solopreneurs, we talk to husbands and wives, we talk to leadership by teams. With a duo, who's the tiebreak? How do you decide if you have, has there been a time where y'all could not agree? How did you figure it out?
Jackie and I have no investment in your answer, but please enlighten us.
Well, I think it comes down to like what the
Yeah,
decision is. I think that like Laken and I kind of know like what lanes
right.
we like kind of take ownership on, and so we kind of like default to one or the other depending on what the decision is. But I mean, I really don't think there's ever been a moment where we did not agree or align and we just went one way or the other. Like we eventually convinced each
Yeah.
other, you know, like that this is the way to go. But I think it's really
Yeah.
knowing like who is in the what lane are we?
Yeah, I agree. I think we both have like our own areas of like expertise, and we, whatever decision we're kind of, at the table on, like there's certainly like a primary and kind of like a secondary decision maker. And we
Mhm.
just, naturally kind of fall into those roles depending on what the challenge is. But again, going back to trust, I mean, there's certainly times where like maybe our ways of doing things would be different, but defaulting and saying, you know what, if this is what you think is right, I'll support that decision. and, see it through. And I think that's something that her and I do really well as a pair. And that's, again, part of why this works.
Yeah, that's good.
Absolutely.
So
We'll take our time too. Like right now, we're having to make a big decision about a big project that's gonna a massive investment, and we're not sure. And we are really like taking our time and really communicating through every step of that decision making process, and knowing that it's okay for me to kind of like blurt out like my current state of thought, and she can do the same, and we can just kind of go back and forth, and not rush. Like we just want to make sure we get it right. So we are very collaborative in that process.
Mhm.
And we pull in other people too. Like if we're not sure, like we'll rely on advisors or other experts and say, hey, look at this with this. Here's how we're thinking about it. Is this how you would think about it? Or what would what's your input here? So I think we're really open to each other's ideas and other people's ideas when we think it's valuable.
right. That's good though. I think that's good teamwork, you know? It's collaborative
Absolutely.
and that's what it needs to be. We always tend to wrap these things up with kind of a lightning round. And we haven't done it with two people yet. So
Yeah.
we'll have to, as we go, decide, are y'all both going to answer it? Are you going to take turns? I will figure it out.
Okay.
So what's your morning routine?
Oh, different.
How so?
I'm not a morning person. I'm a night person. Laken.
Yeah,
So I'm like my
I'm a,
mornings. My husband will tell you, snooze my alarm clock probably 3 or 4 times, especially in the summertime. Can barely peel my eyes open by 8 o'clock, and then it's a quick kind of like bathroom getting ready stuff. But I try to work out at home at least 3 or 4 days a week for 20 minutes or so. Then I go back to my bathroom and like get ready for the day. A lot of times I have like a filming or live or something. So I'm always like hair, makeup, outfits, all the things. And then I'm out the door to the office and I'm here the rest of the day. Laken's routine is different than mine.
my routine is different, but I also work from home. So I feel like my day is blended, right? Like I wake up in the morning and I look at emails and catch up on like things quickly while I'm drinking coffee. And then I have to start every single day with the gym. I like that has been like my like newfound therapy like within the last few years. So gym and then straight to work. And from there, I'm like, I realize that working from home allows me to transition from the gym to work very easily. And that's not something that is as easy for Lauren, but that is my morning routine. If I don't do those three things, I feel like I'm not right. Things aren't right.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
Next lightning round. What is your first job ever?
I mean, besides babysitting, I guess isn't a real job. Or I worked for a specialty gift shop. It was like a little like local like store gift shop, and amazing marketer and entrepreneur that I worked for there. And she is really the reason why like I found my love for marketing and really entrepreneurship as a whole. So that first job was, clutch for me.
Wow.
Mine was not that inspiring, but it's a good reflection of who I was when I was 16. I worked at this place called Pizza and a Movie, and I used to make pizzas and rent out movies. So I was in the rental business from very early on.
You were in the party making,
Yeah.
experience making business.
Yeah. And I would make pizzas and I would rent movies and I would make ice cream cones and I would do customer service and all that fun stuff. And yeah, pizza and a movie, two things I love.
Basically what you do right now, just they smell better.
With
Um,
flowers.
Biggest business splurge that you don't regret?
Biggest business splurge. Uh, we really don't splurge that much.
We really don't, but I would say I don't even know that I would call this a splurge, but maybe it's just like, kind of like extra spend. Sometimes we don't know how it'll pay off, but it's like the business like networking trips.
Yeah.
Like, we're in New York, maybe two to three times a year. And sometimes that is a splurge and we really don't know what we're gonna get out of it. But just by being in those places with like the right network and the right people, it's always inspiring and it always leads to something down the road. But at the time, I'm like, Lauren, are we really gonna spend on a weekend in New York?
And I'm like, yeah, let's go. I'm always the one who's like, yeah, we're doing this. And Laken's like, I don't know if we should spend the money. But I'm like, yeah, we should. Let's go. And she's right. And then we get there and we're like, we really don't know. We don't have the expectations. And then we always end up connecting with some really great people that, it's really good to keep in mind, especially being based in Louisiana. Like everybody else in the industry is either New York or LA based. And so if we don't go there, like we're just forgotten about. And so we have to keep showing up. We have to keep showing face. We have to like kind of make our presence known. And those trips are what that's for. And so, yeah, spending money just to get out into those events is important. It can feel like a splurge, but it really is critical.
Putting yourself in a place to make connections.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Keep building the relationships. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, going on our questions. What was the last thing that made you feel powerful?
That's a hard one.
I know. Let me think.
Lauren, like this is such a joke, but it's serious. Like a good spray tan. Like spray tan can change your life.
Come on, yeah.
I love a spray tan. I do those weekly. So, I think right now, and actually I'm going back to this decision that we're having to make. That's a really hard decision, but knowing the gravity of it and what it could potentially do for the next phase of our business, like knowing that decision ultimately falls on us is scary, but at the same time, it does feel very empowering to know that like we're the ones who get to decide what direction we're going to go in. And that to me, knowing that like we are making that decision, it does make me feel powerful. Like that we're
okay. Better answer. You got it.
No,
I had to go a little bit longer.
Laken, I wish I could remember, but I fell asleep to a sitcom just last night, and I fell asleep to it, so I don't remember. But the spray tan really was the magical moment. This woman walked in. Whenever you feel bad, go get a spray tan. You feel
so true. It's so true.
You got to find what works for you to feel that.
There's this girl who opened this spray tan studio in Lafayette called TANE, or TANNE, and they have memberships. And I signed up for that membership, and it's the best money membership I've ever spent.
That is awesome. Now I feel like I have to go call her and see what she's doing right now.
Yeah, she's good.
What is your go-to pump up song?
Oh, I have mine. This girl is on fire.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
It's a mutual song. It's become like our branded theme song.
Yeah, it's like our anthem.
Jackie, we need a theme song.
We do actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
That song has been like from really exciting moments, like hard moments. Like I've cried to that song, like in moments of pure joy, and like couldn't believe we just had these moments of like, oh my gosh. And that song always just seems to hit right.
Nice.
And one of your trips to New York, have you gone to see Hell's Kitchen?
No.
Okay, well, it's the big song in the show.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Okay. It's the finale.
I have to put that on my list.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of, before I went on CBS Morning News, I literally was like in the bathroom with that song, and I'm like in the mirror and I'm doing my power pose, and I'm like looking at myself with that song playing, and I'm like, okay, this is it. Let's go. So yeah, that song's the best. I love it.
That's awesome.
Y'all have hit like every mindset shift that every entrepreneur, especially females, like need to embrace, from imposter syndrome, scarcity, fear, shifting into the boss, the power pose. I mean, all of it. I'm just in love with y'all.
It's funny because it's like the things that you read about and hear about, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah. And then you find yourself like in those moments and you need to do it, and you're like, okay, like I'm going to try this.
It works.
You realize like, okay, yeah, this actually does make a difference. And like, if this is what it takes, like willing to do whatever we need to do to keep growing,
get to that next level, and don't get stagnant.
Right.
What do either of y'all have a book that you would recommend any female leader read?
I don't know. We have traction. I have this other book called Venture Deals. It's like more like a manual about like raising money. It's not that great, but it's good. Like it's like almost like an encyclopedia of like investor relations kind of stuff. No, not
you don't sound that excited about
it.
Know. I'm not a reader myself, so I'd be like, no.
I know. I like to read, but I like to read like fun stuff, not like.
Or what would be your advice to people 10 years behind you that are looking to build their dream when they're sitting with their partner or their family member, or they have, a dream that they have.
I think what?
Look, just like put one foot in front of the other. It's baby steps. There is no instruction manual. You cannot listen to anyone's, an interview from, someone or a podcast or a book to like find, the secret. Like literally, like I think every single person like has their own journey, their own timeline, and you just have to like trust that you can do it in one foot in front of the other every single day. Like that's the real secret.
Yeah. You have to have a lot of inner strength and determination. Like you can't expect or rely on any other source to get you through it, because there is nothing else that's going to get you through it besides yourself. And that sounds like whatever, but it's true. Like there's going to be moments where no one or nothing else can help you get through it. You just have to know that you can. So just having that confidence to do it. And I think the other thing is like knowing that like to get started, it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. And knowing that like the whole point is to be able to look back and know that like, or to say to like today, like I know that a year from now we'll be better then than where we are today. And that's okay. But I'm still really proud of where we are today. But I know that like next year I'll look back on something we're doing right now and be like, oh my God, I can't believe we did that, But that's okay. You just have to start, and you just have to like be really confident in yourself and love yourself to know that like there's going to be hard moments, but it's going to be all right. And you just have to stick it through.
I 100% agree. And I think that every problem can be solved through a Taylor Swift song. And so You're on Your Own, Kid is like the perfect song for what you just said, because
there you go.
Absolutely those lyrics nailed it.
It's so true. It's so true.
Yeah, so.
No one, nothing else is going to do it for you.
Correct. So, no one's coming to save you. You've got to figure it out yourself.
Yeah. And if you're not, then don't do it.
No. And that is both the challenge and the privilege of being an entrepreneur and running a business.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know. I agree.
You get to be the one who figures it out, and you get to be the one who finds a way to propel your whole company forward and keep those 40-something people employed.
Exactly.
So we get to the 10%.
Yes.
You get that 10%.
And then get that check. If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
Oh, gosh.
It's the last question, so you got to make it a good one.
I mean, if I could be doing anything, like if I just dream job, like what would I want to do? Like, I think CBS Morning News, like totally like, it was like, oh, I belong here. Like I want to be with Jenna. I want to be Jenna's next co-host on today's show.
Yeah, third hour of today. There you go.
Yeah.
We'll call Justin Sylvester and tell him to bring you the next time he's on.
Exactly. Yeah, that'd be my dream job.
Yeah. Laken?
Yeah, I really don't know, but again, marketing is my jam. Like that's who I am. It's what I do. So it would involve that in some capacity for sure.
All right. Well, if y'all break up or sell off, call me. We'll talk.
Yeah.
Y'all, this was great. Tell the people how to find you.
Okay. So you can visit our website at somethingborrowedblooms.com or follow us on Instagram at SBBlooms. We also have a YouTube channel, which is you search Something Borrowed Blooms, you'll find it. TikTok, we're Something Borrowed Blooms. So if you search Something Borrowed Blooms, you'll find it. You'll find the reviews. That's how you can find us and follow us. Always great content we're spitting out. So be sure to follow along. It's a good follow.
Yeah. No, Lauren, Laken, thank you.
My personal Instagram is at Lauren.Bercier, and Laken?
At Laken Swan, although my content is much less exciting.
I'm trying, but yeah, it's not.
It's hard. It's hard to do your own personal and the company.
It is.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep.
Yeah.
Lauren and Laken, it was really nice meeting y'all. Really so proud to have y'all in Louisiana, quite frankly. And it's really impressive what y'all have done. Thanks for spending time with us today.
Of course.
Thank you. This was
for
fun.
having us and giving us this opportunity. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks, y'all.